listening to America First Radio. Here is your host, Paul Adams.
Well, hi there, everybody. Thank you for coming back. Last time, boy, I blew a gasket last time. I popped a vein. Wow. You know, I listen to that and I think, yep, that's the spirit of freedom going right through me. Anyway, welcome back to America First Radio, where we can sit down very calmly and have a no-holds-barred civil conversation in the very topsy-turvy, untamed political jungle. My name is Paul Adams, and I also want to remind you that if you are looking for the latest news, please go to my website, which is trump-x-press.com. And also, you may be able to get some bullion, gold, and silver. It's always good to have in these very turbulent times we're living in. We hear that China and Russia have left the petrodollar and are using their own currency. So we may have a case of hyperinflation, which is a devaluation of the dollar due to the fact that it's no longer in circulation. The Fed may end up having to buy back dollars. Either way, it's good. It's a good idea to have some silver, especially. So, today's news. Let's start off with Trump. I'm not going to go into the GOP DNC polemic. Okay, for me, the two-party system is just an illusion. I will no longer talk about that. But Trump has told China to either deal with North Korea or we will. And I love that kind of no-nonsense attitude about him. That top marks. Hats off to him. But, you know, we are still in a surveillance state, police state. We still have the TSA in place. I recall back during the election when he was promising to repeal the NDAA, to repeal the Patriot Act, you know, all these executive orders that were brought in by Obama, and we still haven't heard anything about any of this. So, I'm not holding my breath, folks. You know, I'm not holding my breath. My sense, my gut tells me that when he first had that one-on-one with Kissinger, Kissinger basically gave him the rules of the road. Told him, Donald, we're going to let you do a few things on your own, but there are certain zones, certain areas, certain tropes, certain themes that you cannot remotely get near, okay, because we're in control of that. So good luck, Donald. Hope you win. Hey, you know, it is what it is. I feel for him. I think he had a pure heart, and he got into it full-fledged, and he didn't know what he didn't know, I just like the rest of us. So he's just finding out now. Anyway, we heard him say this recently. He said, when will Sleepy Eyes, Chuck Todd, and NBC News start talking about the Obama surveillance scandal and stop with a fake Trump-Russia story, he wrote. And I hope what he means by that is not just the surveillance on him, but the surveillance on the American people. Okay, that's the nitty-gritty here. So he says it is the same fake news media that said there is no path to victory for Trump that is now pushing the phony Russia story, you know, a total scam. Look, Donald, we know. Okay, we know about the fake news media, okay? It's a old, worn-out story. We don't need to hear about that anymore. We need to hear about solutions. We need to hear about repealing the NDAA, repealing the Patriot Act, repealing the surveillance state, putting away all these false narratives. You need to get in front of the people in a fireside and explain to them how we're going to get back to where we were. How are you going to take our country back for us? Because if you can't do it, If you can't do it, and if the Constitution is null and void, because effectively it is null and void with the NDAA in place and the Patriot Act and the TSA, okay? There's no reason for people to be searched, body searched. You know, you need a warrant to get into my pants. There's got to be probable cause for you to search me at the airport. Okay? Not everybody is a suspect when going through the airport. Let's stop the Kabuki Theater right now. All right, so enough of that. I've got a lot to talk about today, folks. A lot to talk about. I have a huge announcement to make. I just figured out that Alex Jones is not Bill Hicks. I just did my research on my own. You know, I heard him say that at one time he was in great shape, which he was, you know, when he was younger. And he gained 100 pounds and then lost it, and now he can bench press 400 pounds and can squat 600 pounds. I heard him say that, and I thought, I've been in gyms all my life, and I know what a body looks like, a body that can bench press 400 pounds and squat 600 pounds. Do you have any idea the size of one's butt? How big that butt would look like if you can squat with 600 pounds? And he just doesn't have the butt for that. So I need to see a video of him in the gym, and I don't think there's ever been any videos of him in a gym, at least not in his 30s or 40s. I need to see. Prove it to me. And anyway, I know he is not Bill Hicks. And I have uploaded a small video on YouTube just to explain it to everybody that he's not Bill Hicks. And the video is called Alex Jones, Bill Hicks, Mystery Solved, with a question mark, because I still have a couple of questions. I want to talk a little bit about deceit here. I really believe as we're getting closer to the moment of truth, D-Day, that the political construct is being divided along very clearly defined lines. On one side, the enemy is using methodical deceit to keep the masses in the dark. They will even use highly visible, persecuted opposition to tell the truth or part of the truth and make them appear like they are the opposition, because after all, they are persecuted, right? If they are persecuted, that means they are the opposition. Now, I'm not saying Alex Jones is controlled opposition, but I have my suspicions. I mean, there's a couple of things he had to retract on. One was when he talked about Michelle Obama being, you know, transgender. He had to make a public apology. And the other time was recently with Pizzagate. He had to make a public apology, retraction on that. So maybe they're giving him the slack to say what he wants, but then when he crosses the red line, you know, they tell him, look, you went overboard here. You can't do that. So we'll see. We'll see what we'll see. See, controlled opposition gives you a lot of truth, but they always veil the true perpetrators. You know, who is really behind all this? Well, we don't know. It could be the Jesuits, could be the Jews, it could be the Rothschilds, it could be Soros, could be China, could be Russia. It could be. And you're sort of kind of left hanging there. You don't know what to do. And they never give you a plan of action. Okay. It's always, we'll keep you in suspense. We'll let you know next time what's going on. Yeah, right. And that's why, folks, it's called a prison planet. Because no matter where you go, whether it's alternative news or mainstream media, they got you by the cojones. You'll never get the full story, okay? The perpetrators, the criminals, are hiding behind very thick curtains. Then they don't want to be discovered. That's not part of their agenda. And they'll put whatever false flags they need to put out there to distract us. Keep us guessing. Yeah, you know. We're catching on, folks. We're catching on. We're catching on. It took me a long time to catch on. I mean, it wasn't until 2008 that I finally put the pieces together on 9/11. And I thought, oh my gosh. And then, after that, I discovered that we had the Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam. That's what took us into the war. And I thought, oh man, are you kidding me? Is that how this game is played? And then we have, the sinking of the Maine, the Lusitania, USS Liberty. There's so many false flags. Even the burning of the Reichstag by Hitler. So it's a bit of a prison planet. And how do we get out of it? I mean, if I didn't give you a solution, I would be just as guilty. I would be controlled opposition, wouldn't I? And I keep giving the solution. I keep giving the solution. I keep saying, repeal TSA, repeal NDAA, repeal the Patriot Act, install direct democracy so that we, the people, have full control. As employers, we need to govern the employee, which is the government. Okay, and how do we do that? How do we do that? Well, first of all, you can't have people in power who are communists. Why does the FBI do a 40-year background check on federal government employees to figure out if they are communists, if they had any communist ties at all, even a smattering, disqualify somebody? So we need to do the same thing for our public servants. They're not really officials. They are public servants. We hire them. They don't hire us. And I keep saying we need to have a bit of direct democracy here. This is not back the days of the Founding Fathers when they had carrier pigeons, we've got telecommunications. We need to know what the government is doing. And why not polygraph some of our public servants? How about that? And how about conducting FBI background checks on all politicians to see if they have any communist ties? There are some real solutions for you. Say, how about having a secured online citizens account where we the people, have the power to recall officials. We just go on there and we start a motion, and we can start a referendum. We can do all kinds of things. We can vote in there for local, state, national officials, and then we can also impeach. Okay, we have to think out of the box. We have to think in terms of what would the Founding Fathers have done if they were here today, and what would the Republic require in 1,000 years from now to remain a republic? What kind of governance would it need when you'd have all kinds of technology? We the people need to have the transparency that we require on our employees. Just like a regular employer hires somebody, what do? They give them a background check, they give them a lie detector check, they do all kinds of research on them, they vet them, and then if he's not performing, well, they fire them. They don't wait for the employee to fire himself. So I'm giving you the tools. I'm giving you the vision. I'm giving you where we need to be. Because insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result, and it's not happening, folks. It's just not happening. The Constitution is pliable, malleable, right? It has been. I mean, look at it this way. There have been 27 amendments to the Constitution, okay? Hello! That tells you something. It wasn't carved in stone to begin with. And there have been over 11,500 proposals for amendments since its inception on March 4th, 1789. I'm not making this up. Check it out. So, Look, if you don't want to change anything, then don't complain that things are bad. Okay? I don't want to hear it. If you want real change, then you have to make the necessary adjustments. You have to change course. I mean, if we are to extrapolate into the future, given the WikiLeaks, given the public's mistrust of the media, and when you can't trust the alternative media, then you're entering into the Truman Show. Okay, the alternate reality where, hey, anything goes. As long as you don't complain, as long as you're dormant, compliant, sedated, under the ether, you're not planning anything. Whatever you do, don't plan anything, because they're not ready for that. Okay, they don't want, poop. If they know that you're planning for something, they're on to you like white on rice. Anyway, that's what they want. And some of these PSYOP agents, what they do is they tell you exactly what the state will do to you, if you dare step out of line. Because this is what they did to me, you see. They took my computer, or they targeted me with direct energy weapons, or, they fried my cell phone, or whatever, okay? And that's they keep you on your toes, but they never, ever give you a solution to the problem. They keep you narked. So, I'm telling like it is, telling like it is. I don't have very much to live. I had 2 heart attacks, like I said. The next one may be my ticket, one-way ticket to heaven. Although I had a dream one night a few months ago where I was going up through the sky in this great big glow of light. It was given to me to understand that I was in a nuclear explosion. I was inside the glow and going up. Anyway, there was no pain. I felt happy. But as we're going into the future, the controllers' goal is to hide the truth more and more because they know it's leaking. The masses, on the other hand, demand the truth no matter how ugly it is. The NSA, the CIA, and other 15 intelligence agencies have full access to our communications, we're told, to our finances, our social networks. They can even locate us by GPS, Any smartphone can be pinned down. This is why when you get to your email account, they always want you to verify your account or have a backup, a backdoor to get to your account, and they ask for your phone number. Okay? And most people have a cell phone number, and I don't fall for that trap. First of all, my cell phone is a dumb phone. My cell phone is a dumb phone. I don't care for smartphones anymore. As long as the people cannot access the truth, there is no republic, okay? As long as we are kept behind the curtain, as long as we are kept in the dark, as long as we have a police state camouflaged as a democracy, we do not have a republic. What we have is a constant kabuki theater, government overreach, abuse of power, more corruption, more methodical deception, more blackmailing of public servants. It just goes on and on and on and on. Now, Donald Trump said he was going to clean all this up, drain the swamp. I don't think he can do it. Frankly, I don't really think it's possible. And the Constitution has become more a banner of convenience for the powerful to push their agendas through. Agendas that favor the elite, the plutocrats, especially if they push for wars. Wars, oh, wow. Wars are easy money right up the pyramid. And they'll use countries like Israel and the U.S., they'll wrap themselves in patriotism, in Zionism, to promote their agendas. And don't you dare question your patriotism. Because after all, you are fighting for the United States of America, and after all, you are fighting for Israel. And don't you dare call anybody a Semite. And what they don't realize is, as most people, Most people, I would say almost 90% of Caucasians are Israelites. I mean, there were 12 tribes in Israel. Don't forget, it wasn't just the Jewish tribe, the tribe of Judah. Anyway, this is where we're at. As far as I'm concerned, this is how I look at it, okay? Either we have a social contract or we don't. The social contract was written at the behest of the people. It's called the Constitution for the United States of America, not the Constitution of the United States of America. There's a big difference. The Constitution for the United States of America was written at the behest of the people, and it has been breached by the employee, not by the employer, but by the employee, which is the government, which serves the people. And so once the contract is breached, the contract is null and void. That means that provisions such as no bill of attainder, no corruption of blood, no ex post facto laws, all that goes out the window. The Founding Fathers stipulated that laws could not be created ex post facto, meaning retroactively. You cannot create a law that dates back to 1900 to convict somebody. They also ensured, even before the Bill of Rights came into effect, within the Constitution, that no bill of attainder could be passed on a person or a group. What does that mean? It means simply that legislature could not declare a person or group of people guilty of a crime and punish them without a trial. You see where I'm getting with that? Okay, you see where I'm getting with that? If we're back to pre-Magna Carta times, and the Constitution is null and void, that means the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the Bill of Rights is null and void also. And we, the people, are now at a point where we can be detained, where we can have no habeas corpus, where we can be shot at, we can be droned at will by the employee, by the government, and we can do nothing about it? Are you kidding me? Maybe we have to start from scratch, folks. Maybe we'll have to start from scratch. Maybe that's what it comes down to, you know. America has to go back to the drawing board after some kind of crisis, immense, huge crisis. It could be financial, it could be political, it could be a military crisis, or all of the above. Without the Constitution, it is very easy for people like Donald Trump to agree to asset forfeiture. And he agreed to that. I mean, in a sheriff's meeting, he agreed to that. I mean, does he realize that the 4th Amendment specifically protects citizens, protects their persons, houses, papers, and effects? It prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures and requires a warrant to be judicially sanctioned and supported by probable cause, even in the case of criminals, suspected criminals. Otherwise, if you have a corrupt state that can plant evidence on innocent people and frame them for crimes they never committed, just think of what the consequences could be to just normal people like you and me. Okay, we have a dilemma here with Trump, folks. Some things are nice about him, and some things I don't know. I don't know where his mind is. You know, how much thinking he's done about the Constitution. If he is a true patriot, I pray that my prayers may be answered. But if not, if he has been compromised, I hope that my prayers mean nothing. Okay. Anyway, let's go up to 200,000 feet and look at the ethics of deceit. You know, some believe that the ends justify the means. Some believe that there is no right and wrong. Some believe that might makes right. Some believe evolution actually weeds out the weak-minded, you know, those that can easily be duped. And therefore, the only way to ascend into a higher consciousness is to eliminate the easily duped, the soft-minded, the sheeple. This is basically Lucifer's playbook. The reason he's called the father of lies. And that concept of do unto others as you would have others do to you is basically foreign to him. His morality is just the opposite. Do unto others what you would never want others to do unto you. Only do it first. See, in his universe, everything is permissible. Laws do not apply. Actions don't necessarily have consequences. That's why he told Adam and Eve, eat of the fruit and you will not die. And at first glance, a world without consequences seems like a world of freedom. You can end up wealthy, famous, powerful, no matter what you do. Don't matter how you get there. You can do whatever you want and not pay the price. You can lie, steal, cheat, kill even. And as long as you are not caught, you have outsmarted everybody. And you are on your way to ascension, on your way to becoming enlightened. I really believe that Bill and Hillary Clinton are on that path. That's their moral compass. This is the New Age mantra. You can be whatever you want to be. There are no consequences. That there is no good and evil. It's a non-duality paradigm. They will even tell you sometimes evil actions are necessary. Or that without evil you could never understand goodness. Therefore evil is celebrated, encouraged, championed. And that's why we have all these gremlins and ghouls and trolls and demoniacs. Have you ever seen somebody possessed? You know what it looks like? I mean, I saw a video recently of this guy in a Brazilian hospital who was possessed. Folks, it didn't look pretty. It didn't look pretty at all. He was bent over backwards, walking around in this contorted position. It was impossible to imagine how a person bent over backwards can walk. And he was chewing his tongue off, and there was blood spewing all over, and he was talking incoherently, yelling at people. His arms were pinned behind him in this contorted position. He was naked from the waist up. His eyes were bulging out. And it wasn't drugs. This guy wasn't on drugs. I mean, I've seen people on drugs. They don't act like that. I've seen videos of people possessed. Believe me. It's real. It's real, folks. It's not a fairy tale. So this is the wide path and the broad way that leads to hell, my friends. Imagine, okay, let's take this to its logical conclusion. Imagine living in a society where everyone tries to ascend by being more untruthful than everybody else. Where everybody tries to outdo others in sensuality and immorality and perversion. Imagine being part of a group where you never can get the truth from anyone. Because, the coin of the realm is the lie. Who can tell the better lie? Who can be the best thief? Who can be the best killer? Imagine a world where there is no covenant kept, no promises upheld, no oath is honored, no conversation is worth listening to because it's riddled with lies. What kind of a world would that be? It would be an insane asylum on steroids. It would be hell. Your whole reality would be smoke and mirrors. Nothing would be real. I have a little prank I play on tellers sometimes when I go shopping. I pull out a $1 million bill. It looks kind of real, but it's obviously play money. And I tell them, that's the smallest I have. Can you break this? And of course, they break out laughing because it's so funny. But that's where we're at. Sometimes the elite, they try to pass off fake $20 bills, little things, thimblefuls of lies. And sometimes they try to give it to us in larger doses. Instead of a $20 bill, they'll try to pass off a $100 bill. And we buy into it. We don't check. We don't do our homework. See, nations will use deception, especially during a war. Britain, for example, they built an entire division of inflatable tanks and trucks across from Calais, France, to dupe the Germans into thinking the invasion would take place at that crossing, that strategic point. Ronald Reagan even duped the Soviet Union into tearing down the Berlin Wall by pretending that the United States had Star Wars weapons. There are entire departments in the CIA devoted to PSYOP tactics. We have the sinking of the Maine, as I mentioned, the Lusitania, the USS Liberty, 9/11. There is a reason the Lord warned us of wolves in sheep's clothing. He even warned that even the elect would be duped. The elect are people who have the Spirit of God with them all the time. But my point here is that I'm not a goody two-shoes. I still have my temper. I can be very vitriolic. I'm not quite there yet. Not quite there yet. Don't look to me as an example. Look to God, okay? Tether yourself to God, not to people. They'll disappoint you all the time. All the time. Anyway, back to the controllers, the cabals. They fool the masses in broad daylight. They do it to condition us to accepting present and future events. You have to have some preconditioning, some social engineering, some propaganda to condition the masses. And Edward Bernays was the grandfather, as we know, of propaganda. And that's what we have, advertising and the movie industry that are virtually controlled by the Pentagon, the elite. The enemy is combined. Okay? Lucifer is very, very, very smart. He's been at this for a very long time. He hedges his bets. He's like the casino. The casino always wins. The house always wins. And Lucifer has ways of winning. The house always wins. He's got the Illuminati, the Vatican, the Rothschilds, the Freemasons. Even though there's Freemasons that claim to be on God's side, and other Freemasons claim to be on Lucifer's side, and the same with the Illuminati. The same BS. Okay, the duopoly, just to make it all seem legit. The whole thing is a bit like a Cecil B. DeMille movie. The cast of thousands and layers upon layers of plots and PSYOP operations. And it's called the prison plan for that reason, okay? Hint, hint. And the only way we're going to free ourselves is if we attach ourselves to God, if we seek the truth, if we reinvent our democracy, if we go for a direct democracy where the people are in charge, and when we get rid of the snakes at the top, we have to cut their heads off, folks. Simple as that. You can't negotiate with Lucifer. And this is the period of time in history when the snake's head gets crushed. Okay, it's been biting at our heels long enough. It's time to crush the head. Simple as that. No negotiating, just go for it. So they provide us with a venting system, to vent our anxieties and to express our discontent, our frustrations. But at the same time, they keep us in a sort of an incubator to keep us cocooned in a false sense of security. The only way Lucifer will be cast out on this planet will be when Jesus Christ returns. And we're getting very close, folks. Very close. All it'll take is one act of aggression by North Korea or China or Russia or by Israel, and all bets are off. When Israel is hemmed in by the conquerors and the Israelis are fleeing their lands and they think it's all over for them, the Messiah will appear. They'll ask him, what are these marks on your hands and your feet? And they'll say, those are the marks that my friends put on me when they nailed me on the cross. And I know, you Luciferians listening to this don't even want to accept this reality because you still think you're going to win. You are possessed by demons, and Lucifer owns you. You are his property. You are the slaves of your lusts and your lies. And if you don't fill the air with lies, you can't exist. You are stuck in a vortex of lies, deception, which leads to the great abyss, the great nothingness. and then you'll be out of your minds and in a rage for all eternity. How sad, how very sad. So, until and unless Jesus returns, and until and unless we pray for His return, and until and unless we make the efforts to adjust our course politically, socially, until we emerge and have some kind of a hive mind where the people are the employers and they decide on the big decisions, on the recalling of their employee, on who gets hired, who gets fired, we will just keep on spinning around our wheels like a hamster in a little cage, just going round and round and round. The Luciferian era of deceit must first collapse so that transparency of the governed is as clear as daylight. All that is secret must be brought to light. And this is slowly happening. This is where we're at right now. Okay, there's a lot of dirt that's coming up to the surface, but we need men of action, not men of words. When somebody says to you, "I'm going to repeal every one of Obama's executive orders," he better stick to that promise, or he's just talk. I'm going to have a little interlude here. Okay, welcome back. I want to discuss a little bit now the philosophy, the polemics of obfuscation and deceit. We deceive each other in many, many different ways, okay? Anytime you try and put on pretenses or airs, you are deceiving someone. If I'm 5'4" and I'm wearing 2-inch heels to look taller, I'm trying to put on airs. If I'm just a young guy and I end up in the gym every day because I want to look bigger, I'm putting on airs. If you're a woman and you're putting on your wake-up, you're putting on airs. If you're strapping on a girdle or some kind of a lift-up bra, you're putting on airs. We do that. We do that all the time. We like to appear nice, you know. We comb our hair a certain way. We like to project a certain image. Some of us have cosmetic surgery. I've never had it. You know, dental work, fake jewelry, any kind of pretense is a deception. Some people like to pretend they're smarter than others. You know, they like to drop names. Some people even produce fake diplomas and birth certificates like Obama. You know, even when you butter up somebody and you compliment them, that's a form of deception. You're trying to manipulate them. And, of course, we have instances, you know, in the scriptures, like when Jacob camouflaged himself to appear as his hairy brother Esau, so that his father Isaac would confer upon him the blessings pertaining to the firstborn. It was deception of the first order, but was it warranted? Because if you understand the backdrop, Isaac and Esau had struck a bargain. Esau had begged for food, he was hungry, he was famished, he was about to faint, and he came across Jacob and told him, "Can you cook me some lentils, some pottage?" And Isaac said, "Okay, I'll cook you some pottage, but will you give me your birthright in return?" So that's the deal they struck. It was a bargain. Isaac got the birthright for a pot of pottage. And Esau even commented, he said, "What's my birthright worth to me now that I'm so famished, so hungry?" So there was no real deception here, because had Jacob not disguised himself, the birthright would have gone to Esau, because Isaac would have blessed Esau. Then we have the story of Rahab the Canaanite, the prostitute, that deceived her entire village actually it was the city of Jericho, not just a village, as she prepared to have Jacob's sons, his 12 sons, come into Jericho and kill all the males in Jericho. They did that as revenge because the prince of Jericho had raped their sister Dinah. So there are cases in the Bible where people have deceived in order to get what they wanted. They have manipulated only after they have been done in for. So what is the nature of God? Are we saying that God is deceitful? Not at all. I'm not saying that for one instance. He would not be God if he deceived us. Now, he doesn't give us all the truth all at once, but that's not deception. He can only give us as much as we're capable of comprehending and living up to. And some people think, why doesn't he just manifest himself so we can see him and prove that he exists? Well, if he did that, if you had the proof, what good would that do? It's like having a parent in the room and the children just are compelled to obey because the parent is in the room. They can't misbehave for fear they'll lose their reward. So free will would be inoperative if God was here amongst us. We would be, in a way, coerced to do the right thing. We would fear to do the wrong thing. You know, if he was on television every day telling us what to do and how to do it, there would be no free will. And then the other thing is that there is an element of faith. Faith is like a muscle. If you don't exercise your faith, you cannot expect to do great things in life. And it starts off little by little. You know, it's like pushing weights. You have faith in something small, and then you have faith in a concept that's much larger than you. And the more you see your faith produce fruit, the more your faith grows. It grows exponentially until you come to a point where you have the faith to move mountains. And people have actually done a lot of things with their faith. They have healed people. They have raised people from the dead. I mean, I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We never brag about all the miracles in the church. Why? Because we don't want people to join the church just because of the miracles. That would defeat the purpose. You know, an adulterous generation seeks for a sign. We don't do that. We want people to come in because of the faith that they have in Jesus Christ. It's called the Church of Jesus Christ for a reason, okay? And I'm not here to promote the church. I'm just here telling you how it is. The first thing you have to do if you are to become a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you have to know for yourself that God speaks to more than just one nation. That he spoke to more than one nation. Because he said he has other sheep. They also would hear their voice. And at the end there would be one fold and one shepherd. Do you not say that? He wasn't talking about the Jews. So, if you want to know whether God has spoken to other sheep, you have to take the Book of Mormon, which is a record of God's dealings with other sheep. You have to read the Book of Mormon. Then you have to ask God, not me, not anybody else. You have to ask God if this record is truly what it purports to be. If it purports to be Scripture, then you have to ask God if this is indeed Scripture. If it is indeed Scripture, then the person that translated the book into English must be a prophet, a seer, a revelator. Doesn't matter what his name is. Doesn't matter if it's Joe Blow, Mark Pants, doesn't matter the name. Who cares who he is, what he's done? The fact of the matter is, if the Book of Mormon is the Word of God, and you know it, and when you get that answer, because that's what I had to do, okay? That's what I had to do. I had to go to God after I read, I only had to read maybe 40, 50 pages before I felt something. I really felt something, and I asked God at that point if it was true. And he told me in no uncertain terms, after I fasted and prayed, that it was true. I just knew it, just like I knew sky is blue. Some things you just know. When you know you love somebody, you just know. You can't prove it, you just feel it. It's a feeling. It's a very strong feeling. So that's step one. Everything else is secondary, tertiary. You can't prove the Church of Jesus Christ is true by looking at its history, by looking at what people have done in the church, who has lived their lives how. You got to remember, back in Jesus' time, people were people just like people are people now. They make mistakes, they grow. They drop the ball, they pick it up, they keep going. They make 180s, they change their ways. Even Peter, Peter, he had to be schooled, he had to be lectured. He called him Satan at one time. Peter denied Christ 3 times. After he had seen all the miracles, he denied him 3 times. And then after that, Peter became the rock, the chief apostle. So you see what I'm getting at? Jesus even picked Judas Iscariot. He knew he had a demon in him. Maybe he gave him a chance. Maybe that was Judas' best chance, best shot to get it right. And instead, he screwed up. Jesus would have died with or without Judas, folks. Let's get that straightened out right here, okay? He didn't need Judas to betray him. The Pharisees and the Sadducees would have found Jesus one way or the other. They knew his whereabouts. They didn't need Judas. They didn't need to pay him 30 pieces of silver to find where Jesus was hiding. All right, so that's it. Enough said. I want to simply tell you from the bottom of my heart here that after 45 years in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, after many trials, upheavals, tests, doubts, fears, apprehensions, sometimes offenses, people who have offended me, I want you to know that I know that the Book of Mormon is the Word of God, and that God has restored His true church on earth again, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So, having said that, Lucifer despises the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He will do anything to mock it, to mock the Book of Mormon. That's where we have the Book of Mormon Broadway play. Lucifer creates a universe of false hopes and illusions. God's truth creates a universe of joy, altruism, peace, unity, wisdom, understanding of hidden truths. And He gives us the opportunity after this life is over, after we go to the other side, after we live through eons and eons of understanding, of discipline, because discipline starts here on earth and it continues afterwards in the hereafter. After much discipline, He gives us the possibility to inherit everything that He has, to be everything that He is. Like father, like son, like mother, like daughter. There's much we do not know in this lifetime that we will discover in the hereafter. But we know just enough to make the right choices. That's what this life is all about. It's a testing ground to see what kind of choices we make. What do we value? What do you really value in life? When you've lost everything, what do you really value? When you've lost all your friends, when you've lost all your family, nobody stays in touch with you. When you're old, decrepit, sick, about to die, what do you value? So Lucifer will use conflict to get the desired results. He'll use the Hegelian dialectic, action, reaction, solution. Mayhem, terror, false flags to produce the ultimate illusion, to get us into a false Armageddon maybe even, and then give us a solution to that Armageddon, as Albert Pike has predicted. A Luciferian era, a totalitarian world where there is no religion, no political borders, with one supreme leader at the helm, the supreme Antichrist, Lucifer himself, embodied in a corpse. It's like watching professional wrestling. Just imagine how gullible people are in general in a world where the actors are so well prepared and groomed. Lucifer is the forged $100 bill. Once he's done using the useful fools, he eliminates them. He's that endearing. He's also very patriotic at times. Oh, can he ever be patriotic? He can be very compelling in his reasoning. He can be erudite. He can be intellectual. But like a forged $100 bill, he lacks something, that vital something, the most important thing, that which can't be ever duplicated. And it takes discernment, folks. It takes discernment. Of course, he'll drop clues, but even when he tells you outright that he is a phony, people will not believe it. They'll still not believe it. Even when he comes out on camera and gives you the truth, tells you exactly how it's going down, people will take it as a joke. It's like cognitive dissonance, or call it whatever, the Stockholm Syndrome. There's a feeling that people have that they need to be dependent on a higher controller, if you will. Call it the Streisand effect, whatever it is. But people need to be led. They need to have somebody to lead them. And you have to break free from that. You have to break free and connect yourself to God. Again, I keep saying religion. Religion, the word, comes from the Latin religare, which means to connect or reconnect to the source. That's where we get the word ligament. You have to connect to God and be tethered to God at all times. And then you'll understand, okay? You'll understand that when people tell you that 9/11 is the fault of 19 hijackers, 10 of which still are alive, you need to break free, okay? You need to do your own research and start thinking for yourself. And especially if it's controlled opposition, you know you've got a problem. Be careful. The Lord said, "And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other." So God bless our leaders. If Trump can somehow take down the deep state and come out in the open and talk to us a little bit about the deep state, talk to us a little bit about 9/11, what truly happens, and how he plans to start a brand new, objective investigation, that would be great. If he can somehow strengthen the Republic, not the Republican Party. We don't need the Republican Party, President Trump. Thank you very much. We need a republic. If you can repeal the NDAA, TSA, Patriot Act, thank you for repealing the TPP, which would have given corporations power to sue countries for not allowing the corporations to conduct business. So if you can do all that and not just re-examine the 28 pages that definitely implicate Saudi Arabia and not Israel, because after all, come on, let's be real here, okay? Let's be real. There were a lot of Israelis caught on September 11th, 2001. They were caught, detained, and immediately released. Do your research. Let's get all this out, okay? Let's have a truth and reconciliation. Get all the players around the table, fess up, and say, okay, what happened happened. It's water under the bridge. We can move on, start a new chapter, a new phase, a new era. Here's what we need to do as a planet to have peace in this world. Bygones are bygones. Let's start fresh. We need to have the people in charge of their employee. How do we do that? Let's come up with solutions to do that. Let's give the people the rightful role as employers. How do we amend the Constitution to do that? If he can look to the people and to God for solutions, then God bless him. If not, well, he's just part of the problem. If he keeps looking at his advisors who are looking to score more political points than, rebuild the republic, ain't working for me. If he is listening to Reince Priebus, who wants nothing more than just rebuild the Republican Party, he recently said that this is America. We only have two parties in America. We're not like Italy. Well, I'm sorry, Reince. You're not the founding fathers, okay? And if the people want election reform, and if we do want more than two parties, that's our prerogative. We can do that. So if he can do all this, if he can talk the banks into flipping the bill for health care, tax them 2% right across the border on all their derivative trading, it doesn't have to be forever. Okay, they can be weaned out once we are self-sufficient, when we're back on our feet, when we have our Social Security back in place, we have surpluses, when we can repeal the odious debt which was incurred at the behest of the elite and not at the behest of the people, which debt has damaged the people, has created wars, it has bankrupted our nation, basically. And if Trump can do all of that, if Trump can put Hillary Clinton in jail, if Trump can get Jeff Sessions to prosecute her, if Podesta and Weiner are willing to testify in exchange for immunity, then let's go for it. We're hoping against hope here. Then again, I don't know what I don't know. And then again, Trump could be Israel's ultimate puppet. I mean, he sure has enough Jewish connections. If you look at one of my podcasts back, I think it's number 18, 19, I forget now, but it's called Trump in Israel. Check out how many Jewish connections there are. Until next time, God bless America.